Hello, and welcome back to Auntie Lou's Place. Thank you again for coming. Today's subject is going to be about what you do after you've been given your diagnosis. Um, so I'll start with my experience. Our son was 3 years old when he was diagnosed with muscular dystrophy. And um, we were not given any help. We were not giving any. We were not given any encouragement. He went in and had a muscle biopsy, which did show that which did, confirm that he had muscular dystrophy. And the first thing that they did for us was felt very sorry for us. The second thing that they did was to tell us all the negative things that were going to happen, that he wasn't going to be able to do, all the negative, just all the worst case scenarios of what was going to happen. And he's going to die when he was 16. He's going to have this problem. He's going to have a heart condition. He's going to have this and that and the other thing. And there was no encouragement at all. And so you say to yourself, where do you go from here? Nothing. There was a time that every time that my son would go to the doctor, she would give us textbook about what this and that. And finally, on the second visit, I had had enough. And I told the doctor, who I highly respect, I had asked her to please hold her thought for a moment and ask the nurse, could she take my son out, who was at that time walking, out of the room. And then I had a conversation with the doctor, and I explained to the doctor that the negativity that she's telling us, even though he's at a young age, that I didn't feel it was correct that he should be party to all the negative of what she wanted to say to us. And the reason being is because his body is handicapped, but you tell him what he can't do and you're going to handicap his mind. And I wouldn't have that. His mind can take him places his body will never take him. And how dare you? You don't do that. And that has a lot to do with, has a lot to do with the confidence level of a person. It has a lot to do with their ego and their self-esteem. And if you handicap a person's mind, well, they're not going to do anything. And I just wouldn't have that. So I expressed to her that any negativity that she needed to talk about, she needed to tell me herself, and that he was not to be a party to that kind of conversation. And that was the last time he ever had to leave the room, because she would come in and ask him, and I would encourage her to talk to him, not me. And by doing that, our son will tell the doctor stuff he won't tell us. And isn't that as it should be? Shouldn't he have the right over his body to a certain degree, to be able to say what is and what can't be done and what should be done? He's the patient. I'm not. So, and I asked him, he told the doctor one time something, and I said, why didn't you not tell me? And he replied, you have enough to deal with. He said, this is between me and the doctor. That's wonderful. That's what you want. I think that we need to empower the loved ones that we have and let them know, hey, you're not alone in this, but you have to take control of your situation as well. I remember working in home health. I had a patient, I can't say her name. She's passed already, and the family, people wouldn't know who I was talking about, but still, out of respect. She asked me, she said, Lou, what is my diagnosis? Can you tell me? It still breaks my heart to this day. I said, no, ma'am, I'm not allowed to give you that information. She said, well, I know something's wrong and they're not telling me. And I said, the only thing I can do is talk to your daughter about it and see what she says. So after I got done with patient care and taking care of her, putting her back to bed and getting her comfortable, I went outside to do my paperwork, and her daughter was sitting on the front porch. And they had a huge front porch, and it overlooked like a little mountain and a road. It was really pretty. So it was a very serene and calm place. And I approached her daughter. I said, so-and-so patient wants to know her diagnosis. Oh, no, we can't tell her that. It'll break her heart. No, we can't tell her that. It'll just devastate her. And I called the woman by her name and I said, your mother wants to know what her diagnosis is, um, because she knows she's dying. She knows she's dying. She just can't name what it is that's killing her. And if she can't name what it is that's killing her, she can't fight what it is that's hurting, what it is that she has. And I said, you don't know your mother, and her past as well as you might think you do. And I said, what if there's a situation in her life where she needs to talk to somebody and ask forgiveness, maybe, which, sometimes people do when they're, looking at leaving this world. What if she has a grudge against someone that she needs to clear up? What if there's a long lost uncle or something that she had a falling out with, or a friend, or just whatever? What if she wanted to make amends, or what if she wanted to speak to somebody she hadn't seen in 20 or 30 years? I said, what you're doing is you're keeping her confined and afraid in her bed. And she's fearful, because there's an unknown, and she is grappling with that unknown. So you need to really express to her what's going on. So the next visit, because we've seen patients Monday, Wednesdays, or Fridays, or Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays, and this was a Monday, Wednesday, Friday patient. So I went back, and the mother was sitting out on the porch. She had been in the bedroom, all huddled up in the bed and afraid to leave her bed. And she's sitting out on the front porch, talking to a cousin she hadn't spoken to in years. And so I had to sit around and wait for her conversation to get over, which didn't take very long. And then I got her in, and I started doing my patient care with her and changing her dressings and everything that needed to be done. And she said to me, thank you so much for talking to my daughter and letting her understand that this was something I needed. She said she didn't realize I knew I was dying. And I started laughing, because it's kind of like the same thing I said. Don't hide things from people. Be truthful. My child knows exactly what his diagnosis is. I have never lied to him. We have never tried to make it pretty, because it's not pretty. The only thing that we've tried to do is be positive and give him hope. And without hope, you have nothing. And yes, he goes through depression sometimes. Yes, he gets angry. Yes, he has problems, associated with the emotional side of what he's going through. And the older he gets, the harder it is for him to kind of cope and understand how to deal with it. And to understand depression is going to be part of it, whether it's you getting depressed or your loved one being depressed. But there is an article I read the other day about grieving, because grieving is one of the things that you have to do. You're going to have to grieve this situation. And like I said, the sooner you get it done and over with, the better that you can move on with your life. But there's a woman named Devine, and she wrote an article that says how to help a grieving friend, 11 things to do when you're not sure what to do. And in our society in America, we have a hard time. We fail a lot when it comes to people who are dying and sick. When a friend of yours becomes sick, you don't want to go visit. You do everything you can not to visit that friend. And as popular as they are, as much as you loved them, we don't go and see them because we feel sorry for them. That's not what they need at this time. They need a strong friend, somebody they can confide in, somebody that they can cry on your shoulder. They need you, and this is the time that you need to be a friend. And I'll be honest, I lack in that department as well as everybody else. When we go to a funeral, we look and we say to that person, everybody has that patent standard answer. We're sorry for your loss. Oh, how terrible. We're sorry for your loss. Well, wow. But that's what we say. That's oftentimes not what we mean, but that's what we say. I mean, we're sorry that someone's passed, but it doesn't encompass the multitude of emotions that you might have at the time. And I have a funeral to go to tomorrow, and I don't know what to say either. The only thing I can do is just offer myself as a sounding board, maybe. Call on me if you need me. I'll try my best to be there for you, but there is nothing you can say in this situation. You know, I have a friend, my friend, she lost her eldest son. And what do you say? I'm sorry for your loss. Doesn't sound like it's enough. But I don't know what else to do. So I'm going to reread this article. I will link it down in my, everybody says down below, but I'll link it in my stuff, and we'll, if I can figure out how to do that. And then you can go and read the article, because there's a lot of things, there's a lot of really good things in there that she has to say, and I really appreciate what it is she talks about. Another piece of advice I'll give you is don't show your loved one how you feel. If you have to cry, and just don't do it in front of them. Go in your room and cry. Go in the bathroom and lock the door. Go take a walk. Whatever you have to do, don't cry in front of your loved one. Because that's not really what they want you to listen. They want you to hear how they're feeling. They want to tell you that they love you. And sometimes it's even okay to cry. But I'm just meaning, don't cry when you have the feel sorry tears. If your loved one's telling you how much, pardon me, telling you how much that they love you and how much that they appreciate you through the years and whatnot, this or that, then that's okay. You know, cry with them. But I mean, if you're feeling sorry for the situation, I remember before our son came off his feet and had to be in his wheelchair, he was sitting at the computer table, and we have a chair that kind of, it moves and turns and spins and rocks and all that. And he was sitting in the computer table on the computer, and I could see him. I could see him in his bedroom, and then he said, "Hey, Mom," and I said, "Yeah." And I walked in there, and he whirled himself around on the computer chair, and he was talking to me, and then I said, "Okay, whatever it was," and then he turned around and whirled himself back, and I had to go in my bedroom and cry, because I knew that there would be a time he wouldn't be able to do that, and he looked like just a normal kid sitting in that chair. Hello, I had to come inside. The bugs are getting hungry, and my propellant was not working. So to revisit the grieving part of what we were talking about, I want you to realize that when you get a diagnosis like this, it will affect your relationships. My husband and I struggled. We kind of got snippy at one another. I mean, nothing ugly, but just, every little thing was just a little snip or a little snide remark here, and it was because we were hurting and we were taking it out on one another, and that happens. That's part of it. There's anger and you don't know what to do with it, and sometimes it manifests that way. It's toward the person that you love. And so just be aware that you need to take time for your relationship. You need to make that person a priority, and you need to try to be conscious of the fact that you are doing that, because the last thing you want to do is break your family up over a horrible diagnosis, and it is a horrible thing, but your kids and your family are going to rely on you to be a unit. The last thing I like to talk about is to ask for help. What you're going through is going to be so overwhelming at the beginning that you're just really not going to know what to do. If you have a child like us, we went to Children with Special Needs, and we were given a resource book, and that helped a lot. There was a lot of things that we learned from it and was able to use. One of the things too is, there are churches maybe that you could go to, organizations that maybe will help you. A lot of times, if you will go to the internet and type in the diagnosis, you'll find a lot of support groups there. Realize that I'm here to listen. Write some comments below. Let me know what's going on with you, and I'll try my best to answer. You all take care, and come on back to Auntie Lou, and we'll talk some more. Bye now.